Hey everyone, welcome back to Better Work Days. I'm your host, Andy Morrison from Real Custom Training. This week on the podcast, I've got two very special guests, two of my favorite people on the planet. My daughters, Haley and Leah, join me. Haley's been on before. Leah is making her debut, and I wanted to have Leah come on, and then we ended up, not that she wasn't welcome, but the original plan was to just have Leah. Then I ended up with both kids. Got a little bit chaotic. It's about 12 minutes of content with the kids. I had to edit that down from about 45 minutes of content in total because we went off on some tangents, as can happen when you've got an 8 and a 5-year-old and a 39-year-old man-child at the helm of things. But I brought Leah in because I wanted to talk to her about the progress I have seen in her coloring. She's in kindergarten now. You can see some of her artwork up on the wall behind me. And I wanted to talk to her about her progress in such a way. I wanted to take some of the principles that we teach at Real Custom Training when you're giving feedback. How do you give feedback to someone in a way that promotes growth mindset? Well, you focus on process. You focus on the process that a person used to get a result, whether it's a good result or a bad result. You focus on the effort that went into it, and you focus on their strategy. And if you need to talk about improvement, you talk about making changes in any of those three areas. It's all about process over talent. That's how you give feedback in a way that promotes growth mindset. It works with kids, works with adults too. There's a lot of overlap. People sometimes don't like hearing this because and I get it. It can be a little bit insulting to say that there's overlap between parenting strategies and management strategies. But that overlap makes sense, okay? Don't get offended by that because it's not saying that you're a child if they say that your boss could use, parenting techniques with you as an employee. It's not saying you're a child. It's just saying that it's all about influencing human behavior, which is a parent's number one job. And I would argue it's a boss's number one job too. So of course there's going to be a ton of overlap between them. People bring this up in our workshops a lot. They'll say, hey, I think this stuff would work with my kids. And I say, of course, yeah, it probably would. Give it a shot because it's all about influencing human behavior, whether they're your kids or your employees or even your boss. So that's the takeaway from today's episode. I did my best to keep it on. Well, I could have done a better job trying to keep the train on the tracks with the kids, but they're too fun. It's fun to goof around with them. But as you'll see when I talk to Leah about her work, it's about process. It's not about talent. It's not about innate talent. It's about process. It's about the work that went into a result. That's what you focus on when you talk about the result. That's how you develop a growth mindset, whether it's in your 5-year-old or your employee. I hope you enjoy the episode as much as I enjoyed making it. Thank you. All right, I've got a very special guest joining me for Better Work Days this week, and our special guest has brought their own special guest. So we'll start with the special guest's special guest, and that is Haley Morrison, my oldest daughter, making her return to Better Work Days. Hi. Hello, Haley. Say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, you got to go spit out your gum, okay?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, last 101, kid. Get rid of the...
That's not podcast 101.
Yes, it is. I also just belched, so I'm breaking some 101 rules as well.
Rule number 1 is never let Dad on the podcast.
Oh, okay. Well, then...
Kidding.
We've been breaking that
on the podcast in his pajamas.
We've been breaking that every week. So, Haley, now you introduce the actual special guest.
So we have a special guest, and I think this is like her second time. I think she was in the first podcast with me. And it is our very own special guest pretending something she did, Leah Morrison. Leah Morrison. Yeah.
Oh, she's
So
not ready.
We got a little mix up. I think she's just going, I don't know. I think she's doing something, but she'll be right up. Jump stairs. You guys have Bowser?
Oh, there she is.
Finally.
Leah Morrison is the guest, and she's brought along Haley. So, here's what we're going to do on this episode, okay? And Haley, you can help out, all right? Leah, what did you bring to show everybody? Ooh, a turkey. It's close to Thanksgiving time when we're recording this.
Wait, can I...
Leah came home the other day. Try not to touch the stand, Leah. Leah showed me this turkey the other day. And I said, Leah, That is amazing. You are a super duper little artist. And then I thought about when you give feedback with a growth mindset model, if you're giving feedback with a growth mindset model, then my feedback to Leah actually broke that model. Because if I say, Leah, you're such an incredible artist, I'm implying that Leah just has natural talent, and that natural talent is what enabled her to color such an awesome turkey. Growth mindset teaches that when we often think of innate talent, what we're really looking at is the result of hard work, effort, and adjustments and learning. And that's true whether you're talking to an employee who has made huge improvements in a given area of their performance, or if you're talking to your 5-year-old about how good they're getting at coloring. It's not just a talent they're born with. There's hard work that went behind it. And we shouldn't discount that hard work by just saying things like, hey, you're a great artist, or you're a natural, or you're a natural born salesperson. Look at you getting the numbers up. No, what's the effort? What's the process? What's the strategy that went into it? So Leah, tell us all about your coloring. Because look at this, Leah. See your Bowser up here? Mm-hmm. Bowser's always on better work days. He's in every shot every week. So let's take a look. Let's hold him up for everybody.
Can I hold it up?
Here's Leah's Bowser that she colored. When did the Mario movie come out? 2022?
No, not 2020.
I think it might have been 2022.
It was the new movie that was in theaters.
All right, hold on. It's 2024. We don't need to argue.
You're still on camera.
We can look up everything. Super Mario Bros. Movie.
But I'm too with Josh.
2023.
Ha ha.
When did it come out? 2023. What was the release date? April 2023.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
So this was like a year and a half ago. Probably a year and a half ago, Leah, that you colored Bowser. So let's look at the improvement that Leah has made in her coloring. Now let's take a real critical, a harsh critical look at this Bowser. I'll tell you something I like, Leah. You drew him with all the colors, the right colors. Bowser is red and orange and yellow and green. Okay. How about staying in the lines? How'd you do there?
A little bit good because his face wasn't really in because I knew it would be protected by the cell, eyeballs, and his metal thing he has on his arms.
I noticed that too. You're right. On his belly and his face, you kind of stayed in the lines more. But then in other areas, like the spikes on his back, you wilded out a little, and on his legs. But that's okay because back then you were what? You would have been 3 or 4 years old.
I was 4 because Miss Laura gave me 3 smiley faces.
So I think, were you just learning how to color back then? How to color in the lines?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's okay that you didn't stay in the lines because you were learning how to. Now, let's see, a year and a half later, what did that learning result in? How does your turkey look? Wowie, wawa, Leah. Look at this turkey. Look at that coloring. Let's get them side by side up here. Wow. What an improvement, Leah. All right, so here's what I want you to tell us, Leah. How did you learn to start coloring in the lines?
I realized that it wasn't just that you had to go out of the lines and stuff in the protection because it was in. I realized that you could get better by practicing more, and then it just became a hobby.
Did I tell you to say any of that?
No.
No, that was beautiful. That was well said. You got better by practicing. Seems obvious, right? When you're thinking about something like coloring. Yeah, you get better by practicing. And of course, you're not going to give a 3-year-old a hard time for not coloring in the lines. Why? Because they're learning. And you know that in just less than 2 years, they'll go from that to this. Look at that. You're right, Leah. All you did, you had to practice and you got better. That's true of coloring. That's true of... Haley, what's something you've gotten a lot better at over the past few years?
I wasn't able to... I think, probably writing. I've gotten a lot better. I looked at my first year, second grade writing, and it was terrible, and I didn't have any details. my pictures weren't that great. My writing was out of the lines. And I looked at my last one. It was completely in the lines. My pictures weren't that great, but I'm not that good drawing. I'm working on it. But I think that a lot of the things I've gotten better at is spelling and writing over the past few years. I've been reading books that have a ton of hard words, so it's been easier to spell and write.
Yeah, you certainly have been. Yeah, you read Harry Potter.
Percy Jackson, Lord of the Rings.
No, you didn't read Lord of the Rings.
The Hobbit.
You did read The Hobbit, yeah. Dad is a nerd. I have to correct you.
You are not a nerd.
You'll read Lord of the Rings someday.
I am a nerd, but
yeah, well, that's okay.
I like being a nerd.
Nerds make good money.
I like being a nerd.
So, Leah, what else you want to get better at? What else you practicing at these days in kindergarten?
Reading.
Reading? Yeah. Tell me, how do you spell cat?
CAT.
Oh, she did it. She did it. A couple weeks ago, you wouldn't have been able to do that. Every day you come home and you've got something new you're able to do. Haley, you're learning a lot too, but I noticed when you were in kindergarten, Haley, and now that Leah's in kindergarten, it really, it's like a rocket ship taking off. Because in pre-K, you're learning a lot, but in kindergarten, once the reading starts, it's like domino effect, just boom, 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 boom. Every day it seems like the kid can do something they weren't able to do before.
Wait, can I say something funny?
It better be funny, yeah.
So it's more like coincidental funny. So she's in kindergarten, I'm in 3rd grade. She is learning to do math with subtraction, adding. I'm learning to do multiplication, which I think is kind of coincidental. And then I'm learning to write in cursive, and then she is learning to write.
What does coincidental mean to you?
I'm pretty sure it means like if I said something and then the exact same thing and then it like happened, it's a coincidence. Like, okay, I don't really know.
It's funny, coincidence. It's one of those things. I know it when I see it, but if you ask me to define it, yeah, I'm actually having trouble articulating what a coincidence is.
I honestly think it's like I'm learning to write in one way and she's learning to write in the other way. I'm learning to write in cursive, she's learning to write.
I don't know if that count. I don't think that's a coincidence.
Then I don't know what it is.
Yeah. We sorry, folks. Perhaps if my wife Emily was here, we would know. But apparently, at least 3/4 of the Morrison clan don't really know how to define coincidence.
Are you defining me as a monkey?
No. You kind of are.
I've got the DNA of you, so it's not a surprise.
I mean, humans are basically
I know. But
super advanced monkeys.
No offense to any classy people out there.
No, but you know what's crazy? I was just talking to Mom about this. Human beings
are monkeys.
Right? If you think of you know how sometimes we watch documentaries about animals?
Yeah.
If you imagine if they made a documentary about humans like they do other animals, and if they said, look at the humans, they figured out how to take metal and other components from the earth and bend it to their will, and they made these little capsules that they get inside of, and they've got wheels on them, and these little animals figured out how to control an explosion to propel that vehicle, and that's cars basically. That imagine if you look down and you saw ants had made little cars and were driving them around. Your mind would be blown. That's basically what people have done. Human beings are just insanely clever. We made cars. We looked at the moon and said, basically, is there a way to ride an explosion? Can we make an explosion big enough to propel us up onto that giant rock in the sky? That is wild.
The thing is that people can learn to build like 5,000-foot tall things, like a rocket ship. Somebody builds that. Like if you think of the tallest thing in the world, like people built that.
Yeah.
It's possible.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
When it's done, it's like mind blowing that like probably just like 500 people just built that over like a year.
It takes a lot of people. It takes a lot of people to do really anything worth doing.
I watch movies and I'm like, how is there that much detail? And I know it's just CGI, but it's like it seems impossible to do.
Yeah, and
tricks the actors do seems impossible.
I like Haley. Haley and I have been watching a lot of behind the scenes featurettes about making movies. A lot of good leadership workplace lessons in there. Because you see the final product. You see the movie or the TV show. There's so much else that went into making that. And it's interesting to learn about all the people that have to work together to make these shows and movies that we love.
It's not just people doing flips. It's like actors, makeup.
Mm-hmm.
Like, watch The Lord of the Rings and I know one of the movies. I look at those orcs and I'm like, there's no way that's makeup.
You want to come up here, Leah?
And then I watched the behind the scenes and they said that it's all makeup. And I just thought it was impossible that somebody can do that.
People are going to want to see this face, Leah. Don't cover it up. What are you doing?
You're covering it up.
I was.
If this guy had a brain, this guy has a big brain. But let me tell you, sometimes he's got us thinking but sometimes he's got to feel.
He did not know what he does with it.
Okay, so back to the lesson of Leah coloring.
No, I think we covered it. I mean, the point is when somebody improves in a certain area, don't just write it off as something they were able to do thanks to innate talent. Leah had to practice and learn coloring in the lines to go from Bowser to the turkey. Haley had to learn basic writing in order to then start doing more detailed writing. And I like what you said, Haley, about looking back at your work, because in my line of work, when it comes to helping people develop a growth mindset, they encourage them, save your work, keep a journal about your job, keep a tracking record of the areas you're looking to improve in so that you can look back the same way you said, Haley, look back at your work and be able to say, I started there and I ended up here. And I didn't just end up here by chance or circumstance or luck. I ended up here because I worked hard to get here.
Wait, can I say something?
And if you're a boss and an employee has worked hard to go from A to B, don't just praise them for getting to B. Talk to them about the effort that went into it, the strategy they had to use, the adjustments they had to make. Leah's yawning. You're throwing me off now, Leah. I feel like I'm losing my audience. Am I getting boring?
No, you're not. You're not.
You sure? You girls could sit in my workshops. It might be helpful sometimes if you could just chirp up and say, "Hey, Dad, you're getting boring." Everyone's too polite to tell you.
During Christmas break, he has work like during the end of it. I want you to schedule a workshop, and I want to go, and when you're getting boring, I'm gonna say, "Dad, keep it on."
Do you think we should ever do workshops for parents and their kids?
I say yes.
I think we could. I think it would be fun.
Wait, can I say something?
We could do like a growth mindset workshop
Dad, can I
for
say
parents
something?
and kids.
Can I say something?
Say whatever you.
So, if you say somebody has a talent, basically, you're also saying that they're working hard because you don't just get talent naturally. You get talent from working hard.
Yes and no, Haley. Yes and no. So some talent is natural.
Yes.
Some talent is natural.
My talent is being a monkey from him.
Yes. Yes. Well, in a way, Haley. In a way, some of the traits you get from me are talent, and they do like him. Make you act like a monkey at times. So I think you got a pretty quick brain, Haley. I've got a pretty quick brain.
My therapist is telling me to calm my brain down.
Yeah, mine too.
That's hard.
It is. It's not easy. That's why I need a third party's help to teach you how to do it, because I'm trying to learn how to do it too.
But you got
a big head start on me. I'm 39, still working on that. You're 8. You're gonna be much better off than me. We're working on it way ahead of time.
5.
That's the other thing with growth mindset, girls. Everybody's got stuff they're working on.
Every person in the world.
And there's no shame in it. Sometimes when you get to be a grown-up, people can make themselves and make others feel ashamed for having to learn something. And the problem with that is if you're embarrassed about what you have to learn, then you're not going to pursue it, especially at work. You know, if say someone becomes a boss for the first time and they realize, oh, I'm not very good at, talking to employees about things they did wrong. I'm really good at talking to them about what they did right. But when they make a mistake, I really have trouble talking to them about that. If that person is afraid to go to their boss and say, I need to learn how to have these difficult conversations with my employees, then they're never going to learn it. you can't make people afraid or embarrassed about what they have to learn. Everybody's got stuff they need to work on. The difference is there are those who embrace that and chip away at it and work on it, and there are those who avoid it and don't work at it. And in my experience, when people come to my workshops and tell me about the best bosses that they've ever had or the worst bosses they've ever had, it is inevitably the worst bosses who are not working on improving themselves and their performance. They think they got nothing to learn, they got nothing to improve at, and that is not a good way to lead people. But I digress.
Wait, can I say something? I don't write in a diary, but a lot of times I get embarrassed about the way, sometimes, like, I'm kind of crazy in school. Like, when we're in the gym, I'm hanging out with my friends. I'm really funny. Sometimes I look back and I say, okay, I need to work on this, but not always. And I think that if people say, like you said, somebody might say they're a bad boss, that person might just be working on that and has trouble thinking about themselves and criticizing themselves. Like, I don't like to hear myself getting criticized. So when you say somebody's a bad boss, they might actually be working on that, just not getting better at it yet. Yeah. So you should never really say somebody's a bad boss because they could always be working on it, and you just might not know. They might just not be getting better at it yet.
Wow, Haley. Yeah. That actually gives me a lot to think about. You know, I had a similar thought the other day, Haley, because, well, hold on a second, girls. Hold on.
I get the chair. Oh, Leah gets to sit in my lap. Move.
Look at the flip chart.
You move. I'm sorry, Dad. Leah, get up. Get up and move your chair. Are you kidding me? Oh,
Okay.
Are you kidding me? Oh, God.
So look, here's, oh boy. Oh, we got rippage. So, yeah, we do this flip chart. I have people write traits of the worst boss they ever had. And then on this one, the best boss they ever had. Okay? But you're right, Haley. I should raise the question to them. We called it worst boss ever. Were they a bad boss?
Wait,
Were they the worst boss ever? Hold on, Haley. Hold on. Or, as Haley said, maybe this is just a list of things that the... Come on, you can't touch the microphone. Maybe this is a list of things that the boss just wasn't very good at. And maybe they need to get better at them. And maybe, as Haley said, they were working on this stuff. They just hadn't gotten that good at it yet. That's a great point, Haley. We are all very quick, and I just did it myself. This exercise does it too. We're very quick to say good boss, bad boss, right? Best boss ever, worst boss ever. But we're not being linear enough. We need to say the bad boss, maybe it's just a boss getting better. But the difference is the boss working on getting better or not? If they're not working on getting better, then I think that is a bad boss.
Well, I've got an idea. You should say, so that says worst boss, which is very critical. You should say best boss and needs to improve boss.
Sure.
Because then it's not a bad. Nobody will ever be a bad boss necessarily unless they tell you to the face, I'm not going to work on that.
Well, Haley, let me tell you, those bosses exist.
There's some people who might go to their employer and say, I'm not going to work on that.
Oh, God, yeah. There's bosses out there that if their employee told them they need to work on something, the boss would be mad at them.
Oh.
I know, it's hard to believe. That's because you guys are being raised by two parents who have growth mindsets and are trying to raise you to know there's just always stuff you can improve on, and it's fun to get better at stuff.
You see, this is why I like why you own your question training, because then I grew up with somebody who does a lot about growth mindset. And I'm not growing up. Like, my dad can teach me lessons when I'm older.
Yeah, I already teach you this stuff.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, like...
Leah's yawning
but
again.
You should put 3 categories and say best boss, worst boss, need to improve boss.
Actually, no, Haley. I think it would be better to stick with best boss, worst boss.
Okay.
Then revisit the worst boss list and say, now,
bring in that boss and let's see what.
How, should we perhaps have looked at this instead as not as worst boss, but how about most ineffective boss or boss with the most to improve on? You're right, Haley. Because if I, if you look at that list of worst boss qualities, I had some of those qualities when I was a boss.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not kidding, because I wasn't the best boss. I didn't get any training. There were mistakes I made that people naturally make when you get into a leadership position for the first time. So yeah, there were definitely a lot of ways in which I was not an effective boss and had a lot to improve on.
Bully, liar, and rude. If you're being, do you know what to be a bully as a boss?
What do you think?
Well, all I can think about is putting their paychecks down.
No, a boss bully would be super aggressive, name calling,
Yeah.
only interested in getting what they want, not interested in helping you grow or improve as a person.
I get that. I'm thinking,
So, sweetie, let me tell you something. All right. Okay. You adorable little girls. Let me drop some harsh life knowledge on you.
you see,
You know how at school,
yes.
oh, I shouldn't. There's
There's a kid in my class.
sometimes, no, we're not going to talk about kids in your class, Haley. There's an assumption you make as a kid that when you grow up, grown-ups must all have it figured out. And that is not the case. So yeah, there are some grown-ups who are bullies in the workplace. There are some grown-ups who are liars in the workplace. Just like when you're a kid, some kids are bullies, some kids are liars, and when you're grown up, you kind of think people aren't going to act like they're still in school. Some people do. That's the reality of
You
it.
should bring Calvin and Hobbes babysitter, and you should. The dad says, when I was a kid, they got their house robbed. He says, when I was a kid, I used to think my parents could do it all. And him being an adult realizes that nobody can do it all. It's kind of like that. It's like, when you're a kid, you might think your parents can do it all. But literally nobody can do it all.
Yeah, I also
Spend your
remember
whole life working on that, and you still can't.
that's the one where their house gets broken into.
Yeah, the window was shattered. The dad's like,
Just say yes.
Yeah,
That's
it
all I asked. Okay. Yeah, I remember that one.
yeah. He's like in the bed with the mom.
What else you want to say, Leah? You all done? You getting bored?
No.
No, what else you want to tell people?
So it's that, like, just because when you're young and you're not good at something doesn't mean that you can't be better at that, even though if you're still, like, 4 or, like, 5, when you're, like, a little bit out of that.
Yeah. What about when you're 39?
Yeah, you gotta just still be, like, a little bit not good at that, and because even though if you're, like, old, like, if you're a grown-up, it still takes time to, like, work on stuff. It just may not be the same thing that is when you were little.
You're right. Yeah, Leah, that's very insightful. You're right. Now, what's something Dad is working on at home? You can say it.
Not swearing.
Not swearing.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry, Leah.
Yep, it's true.
But
Definitely.
I can trust that he's gonna start working on it.
Not my proudest admission. You know, I don't swear at work.
That's one of my
I
things.
never
that I'm
swear at
looking
work, but I swear at home a lot.
My parents told me that when I'm at school, I do really good, and my parents ask me why I don't do that at soccer practice or at home. My answer is that I am less comfortable at school acting the way that I would at home. Because I am in front of people, I am in front of a teacher, I am in front of adults. I don't like doing that. Which is why that at home I might freak out over something that might have happened at school. I might cry about something that I didn't cry about at school.
Are you trying to say it's similar for Dada?
Yeah,
I'm on best behavior at
probably
work,
don't-
and then
you
I
probably
can...
don't spread at work because you're a boss and you want to set a good example. At home, you might be more comfortable with freaking out.
Yeah, that
might be the case for a lot of people, but it might not be the case. Some people might be some people might be comfortable at home and not comfortable at school, and their comfortable might be acting polite at both times.
Yeah, so Leah, you're right. Even at at 39, I've got to learn to stop swearing at home around you
Or
guys
like
so much.
85.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I'm glad we had this conversation, girls, because like I said earlier, when Leah gave that perfect textbook response, I said, Leah, did I tell you to say any of that? And she said no. Because I tell me if I'm wrong, Haley. Do I lay this on thick? Do I like really hammer you guys about growth mindset?
No.
You give it.
Try not to. I try to be a little more subtle. I try to just make it part of your life.
If you were to see him, you would not like. It was like he's teaching us growth mindset by giving us a good example.
Well, you know what I was proud of you for, Haley?
What?
You took the swim test at the YMCA like 6 times.
I took it 6 times before I got it.
So yeah, so Haley did the swim test at the YMCA 6 times, right? That to me was a great example of, okay, this kid is operating with some grit and some growth mindset. Because after the second or third time, Haley, even I kind of wanted to be like, Haley, you sure you want to keep trying? Like maybe just a year or 2?
Yeah, no thanks.
But you're not deterred. You didn't pass the test 6 times, and on that 7th time you nailed it and you passed it. And you don't give up. You keep trying, and I think you both know it's okay to fail because you can keep trying and keep getting better. And that's the growth mindset in a nutshell. It's just I can get better at something if I choose to get better at it.
No.
You girls bored? I feel like I'm bored. I feel like I'm losing you.
Wait, can I say something? Every time I go to this beach, I try and get into the deep end because the other end is like 3 foot deep. I went there for like 6 years. Every year since I was like 4 or 5, I have been trying. I've been trying to pass that swim test multiple times, and I don't like the one at the camp where we go with the
Yeah, with the Browns, yeah.
Yes, I never passed it, and I still haven't passed it.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah. Disgusting.
Yeah. That's what you were gonna say.
So what were you gonna say?
I said it. Yeah, that is what I was going to say.
Oh, come on, Dad.
Classic. All right, Leah. Thank you for bringing in your turkey.
Wait, one thing.
You keep up the good work. You girls keep working. Oh, Haley, hold on. Did we ever finish? You said hard work is how you get talent.
Hard work. Well,
I wanted to clarify something on that.
it better not be a burp.
No, talent does occur naturally. Okay, so take Michael Phelps, the Olympic swimmer, little before your time. Okay, Michael Phelps physically is this sounds like a bad word, but a freak of nature, meaning his arms are long, his body
is meant for swimming.
So right away, he's got some natural talent and physical ability that I don't have, right? Now, growth mindset doesn't mean that if I believe in myself, I can ever catch up to Michael Phelps. It does mean if I wanted to develop a swimming habit, I can do that. If I want to get better at swimming, I can get better at swimming. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be able to do whatever you want as long as you believe in yourself. It's not that. And Michael Phelps, even being born with that natural talent, sometimes talent, I think, natural talent can get your foot in the door. Meaning, sure, if you're born so that you're going to naturally be 7 feet tall, then yeah, you're going to have a better chance on the basketball court playing against someone who's, 5'10" like Dada is, right? But if you just have talent without the hard work, you're never going to get as far as you could have otherwise.
Yeah.
You can't rely just on the talent. And if you look at sports, pro sports is full of examples of guys and women who get to the big leagues, get through college, riding largely on natural talent. Then when they get to the pros, they get to the highest level, they don't put the work in because they are used to just being able to rely on their natural talent. And then they fail at the highest level. Looking at you, Johnny Manziel.
Who is Johnny Manziel?
He's a football player who had a lot of talent and then did not put the work in at the NFL level and didn't succeed. So one of the worst things you can do with a naturally talented person is emphasize that natural talent to them, because then they're going to think that they don't need to put the work in. Then they're going to think, oh, if you put work into it, it means you're not a natural talent. So if I told Leah, you're just a natural. This just comes to you. You just know how to do this because you're an artist.
She grows up to be a famous artist.
Well, then she's still going to be coloring like this a few years from now, probably. She's not going to put the work in. She's going to think, oh, it just comes naturally to me.
So, Leah, forget that Dad said that.
No, come on, Haley. Come on.
Pretend he said you did a really good job at hard work.
Come on, Haley. Come on. You're not serious.
What do you girls want to do the rest of the day?
Dad, the podcast too.
Oh, yeah,
I want to go to a
yeah.
playground.
We're not going to a playground.
I want to roller skate.
It's frozen out, man. Today was frozen.
You should see the frog.
Literally frozen. My car was a sheet of ice this morning.
I want to go to
The podcast should be shut off. Why? Are we done?
What? No! Wait, can I say something? I got a solo in my concert, and I was worried about it, and then my friend's mom said, you shouldn't be worried because you got that through hard work and that you deserve it. And my friend can get all the words right, and I think that if she tried out, she would have got one of them. And she didn't try out, and I understand. So
Your friend's mother is right, Haley. You worked hard to get it. All right, girls, I think we're done.
Yep. Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Thanks for letting Leah come in. Nobody talk behind her back.
All right, and we'll think about more episodes, and we'll think about maybe some activities we can do that parents can do with their kids that help
Yeah,
with
it would be a
leadership
special one.
leadership development.
We're parent development.
What do you girls? What does being a leader mean to you?
Being a leader means to be, like, you might be a boss, you might be the leader, but I think that a leader, like, you might get voted leader, but you might be, a lot with the worst boss thing said. I think that a leader is being true at heart to a leader, like being nice to people and hard work and helping others out and having all the qualification for it. Not getting it through being strict or being really classy. I think that you should be kind and nice to be a leader. Because if you're a leader, you want to have everybody's trust. And if you're going to be mean, then you can't. People aren't going to want to trust you.
And I
think that that's what a leader is.
And I think what a leader is.
Can you, Haley? We've talked about you can't be making noise like that. Okay.
Okay, sorry.
I think a leader is like you have to be nice, kind, and be like good to your people. And whenever they like say they need something, you have to like do it right away. And when it's an emergency,
In an emergency?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A leader in an emergency.
Gotta do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes your people might want you to do something that's not the right thing to do.
And you got to be able to stick up to them.
Yeah, and you gotta like do it in a nice way so they don't get sad.
Or upset.
That's kind of true, Leah.
Think they're good enough.
Yeah.
So you had this?
Yes, I want to do an episode about the what I'm going to call the Amelia Bedelia effect.
How she bribes people to stay.
She doesn't bribe people.
She makes a lemon pie and then they let her stay because of the lemon pie.
Oh, that's not bribing.
She gives them a lemon pie after she did kind of bad. But I don't think they should have fired her.
Yeah, and it's mostly about the assumption of that someone will interpret your instructions the same way you interpret them.
Every time he gets a hold of a fiction book, some growth mindset purpose will come into the episode on it, just so you know, everybody.
All right, bye guys.
Which is a good thing. Bye, everybody.
So in a nutshell, the Amelia Bedelia thing. They give her a list of stuff to do, like draw the drapes.
Okay,
They
so-
write that on the list. And then Amelia Bedelia interprets it literally and draws a picture of the drapes rather than closing the drapes. So she goes through her whole first day. Hold on, Haley. I'm locked in here on Amelia Bedelia. She goes through her whole first day, does everything to the letter on the list from her employer. And the employer comes home, sees that she drew the drapes, put clothing on the turkey when she was told to dress the turkey, things like that. The employer's ready to fire her. But then they try the pie that she made for them. And it is so good that they decide, all right, we're going to keep Amelia Bedelia because we don't want to lose out on these pies. And we're going to have to adjust the way that we delegate to her. So let's make sure we write our instructions in a way that they can only be interpreted in the way that we want them to be interpreted. They adjust. The boss adjusts to the employee's deficiencies in order to keep that employee, help that employee be more effective, and get the great thing they want out of that employee, which is to get these tasks done and continue to make amazing pies. So sometimes bosses need to adjust. You can't always just say, oh, this person screwed up, get him out of here, because maybe you're going to miss out on something great that employee could have done for you if you had adjusted your style to help them make up for their own deficiencies. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.